Here are 22 lessons I learned in 2022 that can help transform your year in 2023. I have filtered out all the most valuable lessons I learned last year, so I hope they can help you as well. Just grab a drink and let's get right into it. First of all, I learned to use deep work to produce the highest quality of work in the shortest amount of time this year. Deep work is simply just doing intense work uninterrupted for bouts of 60 to 90 minutes. Deep work is both rare and valuable. It's rare because recent years our attentions are getting more and more fragmented. It's very rare that anyone just sits there doing hour of work without checking emails, checking their phone. It is valuable because in the increasingly globalized modern world that we live in, we are not competing with people within our own region. We are also competing with anyone in the world, anyone who has internet access. So it's even more important to be able to solve complex problems and do high quality work. Secondly, I learned to measure input and output goals, but not outcome goals when it comes to goal settings. Input goals are the time or the effort that you put in. Output goals are the measurable results that you get from your input, and your outcome goals is the actual ultimate final results that you want. So let's say going to the gym. Input goal is saying that I'll go to the gym 1 hour a day. That's the most controllable factor. Output goal is to say that I want to work on 10 exercise a day in the gym. Still quite controllable, but less controllable than measuring your time. And outcome goals with goals like I want to be able to squat 100 kg. That's not really under your control, but it's what most people do when it comes to goal setting. I've learned to use input goals and output goals more than outcome goals because those are more within my control. Thirdly, I learned that we are better at linear work in the morning and creative work in the evening. I learned this through the Andrew Huberman podcast if you want to check it out. After knowing this, I try to do all my YouTube editing work at night and to do all my calculations, reading email stuff on the morning when I'm more good at logical and linear thinking. Number 4, credit goes to the men in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doers of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spend himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails with daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. This is probably one of my favorite quotes of the year. It talks about how we should give credit to attempts, give credit to those who are brave enough to let's give it a try and not to care about outcome, just to praise people for trying. Number 5, we are lazy by default and we should create a system around it rather than use motivation or willpower. Willpower and motivation are finite, you cannot always rely on it, but if you are able to create a system that is comfortable for you, that works for you long term consistently, that will bring the best outcome rather than just forcing yourself to do things you don't like. Number 6, life is full of last times, so cherish every time you have with whoever and wherever doing whatever. You never know when's the last time you see your family, when's the last time you hang out with a friend, when is the last time you walk through that bus stop to take a bus to your school. So always cherish every moment as it might be the last, and that's how you live in the present the fullest. Number 7, do more things for their own sake, not as a means to an end. There's a rise of different side hustles and side gigs that people do in order to further their career or make more money, etc. After reading book 4,000 Weeks, I realized that we should actually be doing stuff that we just enjoy doing by themselves rather than expecting an end goal. These are stuff that you don't mind being stuck at, but things that you just simply enjoy doing by itself. The purpose of flow is to keep on flowing, not looking for a peak or utopia, but staying in the flow. So the next year I'll be doing more stuff that I simply just enjoy doing rather than doing things because I enjoy doing but also kind of brings me external benefits. Number 8, do not run away from your negative thoughts. Instead, be curious and ask questions. Where they come from, why do you have them? That way you'll know yourself a lot better. So it is quite natural for us to run away from our negative thoughts, run away from different thoughts that we know we shouldn't be having. This year I learned that instead of just running away from them, it's better for you to sort of dive deep into them, learn about yourself, learn about why you have those thoughts, and that's a better way for you to understand yourself. Number 9, uninterrupted deep introspective journaling is very beneficial. I actually made a whole video about it earlier this year, even though my video editing and filming skills wasn't that good. It's still worth checking out, I think. Deep journaling was something that I learned this year, which was super helpful in helping me unclutter my mind, reflect on myself, and learn more about my past doings and where I want to go in the future. Number 10, This year I learned about the plateau of latent potential. I first came across the graph in Atomic Habits, but it basically talks about the time lag between what we think should happen and when things actually happen. This is especially true in aspects of my life like content creation, where the initial efforts usually doesn't have a lot of rewards until later down the line. Powerful results are only achieved once you cross a certain threshold, but before that you have to sustain through a period of disappointment and lack of results. But once you cross the threshold, compound interest does its work. Number 12, build identity capital by doing things that set you apart. Identity capital simply means making your identity, your personality, your personal branding a lot stronger. You can do stuff like what I'm doing, building a YouTube channel for example. Number 13, fail intentionally to magnify the power of failure in a more controlled settings. So we all know that failure is good for you, blah blah blah. But this year I realized that if you can fail intentionally, that gives you the power to really control your failure in order to not let it sort of get out of control, and also do it more repeatedly in order to reap the effects without a lot of the negative consequences of failing. Number 13, margin of safety is super powerful and super underrated. Now I learned this in the book Psychology of Money, but margin of safety basically increases the odds of you succeeding by allowing you to survive on a bigger margin and also decreasing the edge you need to succeed. Number 14, I learned to take more calculated small risks and small bets. If you're in a privileged position where failing does not have such a bad consequence as others may have, then you should take that privilege to take more small bets and small risks. You can be risk loving and yet completely averse to ruin. Number 15, Inversion Thinking by Charlie Munger. I learned this in the book 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozy. Inversion thinking is basically trying to solve a problem by thinking in reverse. So for example, if you're thinking of how to lose weight, right? You don't think about how to actually lose weight. You think about how to not lose weight. So you immediately have a lot of like answers, right? Eat a lot of junk food, never exercise, I don't know, like sleep at 4 a.m. every day. And then once you have those answers, you just do the complete opposite. Because our brain is so much better at how we can like destroy ourselves than to thinking of how to win, where there can be like so many different options, right? Number 16, the 80-20 rule also applies in the gym. Now for those of you that don't know the 80-20 rule, it basically says that 80% of the results come from 20% of effort or inputs. So 80% of goals will be scored by 20% of player in the football team. 80% of the money will be made by 20% of people in the society, etc. Now I realized that this is also true in the gym, right? 20 sets per muscle group per week is the optimum range for you to gain 100% of your gains. This year I learned that simply by doing 1 to 4 sets per week already gives you around 50 to 60% of your gain. 1 to 4 sets is basically just doing like 1 set of 10 push-ups for example, and you can get half the gain that you will get if you've done that 20 times. Number 17, compound interest is powerful, but then it's a lot more powerful if you start with a big starting volume. So everybody knows that compound interest is super powerful by this point. Like there's an Albert Einstein quote, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world or something like that. But then what you don't realize might be that compound interest is only really powerful when you start with a big initial amount, say money. If you start with $1, that compound interest will take forever before it compounds into 1 million. But if you start with say 500,000, it won't take so long until you reach a few millions. So when using compound interest, start with a big sum. If not, then focus on getting that big starting lump sum first. More than 97% of Warren Buffett's wealth has been accumulated after the age of 65. Number 18, when the goal is to get rich, focus on increasing your upside, which is making more money, than limiting your downside, which is to save more money. I realized that you can only save to a certain point, but then if you use the same mental energy to think about how you can make more money, your upside is virtually unlimited. So in the upcoming year, I'll try to focus my energy on how to make more money than to save more money. Number 19, money's greatest power is the freedom that it gives you. Now this can include time freedom and location freedom. Like time freedom meaning you can take time off to do what you want, location freedom meaning you can be wherever you want to be. And I do think that that is the ultimate goal of why we chase after money. It's not because of things you can buy, it's because of the freedom that it can buy you. Number 20, long-lasting, deep, intimate relationship is the key foundation to a very happy and long life. This I learned from a Harvard study that I heard about on TEDx. It is true, so don't cheap out on it. Number 21, praise specifically, criticize generally. You want to praise someone very specifically. For example, if you like someone's earrings, then just tell them you really like their earrings and in what aspect you like it, maybe it's the color or the shape. But when you criticize someone, in order to not make them feel offended. Criticize them generally. Don't hurt their personal feelings. Number 22, don't always try and give advice. Learn to sit there and listen, ask questions, and be empathetic. I'm always the person who's really practical, trying to give solutions to everything, but sometimes people don't need solutions. They just need someone to be there and listen through what they have to say. Those are my lessons in 2022. There are more lessons to be learned in 2023, and if you like this kind of content, let me know down below. Like the video, comment, and subscribe because more will be on the way. With that being said, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.